Hello, I'm Shotaro Sano. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. This channel is a talk room where I share real, unfiltered conversations about career and learnings, primarily through conversations and dialogues with guests I really want to talk to. So today's guest is Suhass.
Hello.
Yay,
Thank you for calling
Suhass.
me.
Yeah,
Pleasure to be
Suhass is
here.
my all right. Yeah. Pleasure is all mine, and thank you for sharing your time. And Suhass is my classmate at Shizenkan. Again, thank you for joining. And I see green the trees back there, and you mentioned that it's sakura.
Yes, this is what
Yeah.
greeted me. I came to Japan end of March 2022, and this is
Okay.
the one of the first things I saw when I came to the office. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Japan greeted me beautifully 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
Nice. Yeah, and also I noticed that our first conversation in the classroom was that you were talking about Karizawa that you visited at the
Yes,
time, and
yes.
because I live in Karizawa right now, and yeah, I thought there was a great connection between you and me. And could you talk about like your experience with Karizawa recently, or
That place has my
what you
heart,
like about it? Okay.
really, because it helped me come out of exhaustion, and
Mm-hmm.
I had been doing a lot of work and studying as well. And in the summers of this year, I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to go to a place which is full of nature and calm. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really a random suggestion by someone, and
I
they
see. I
told me
see.
you should go to Karizawa.
Mm-hmm.
Then that evening, I booked my tickets for the next day
Oh,
and a
okay.
hotel
You were
for
that quick.
5 days, and I just landed up there, and I had a euphoric experience when I
Nice.
came out of the station because it's so
You stayed
different.
here for 5 days.
Yes.
Wow.
Stayed there for five
That's
days,
that's
and then
pretty
I
good.
kept coming back for the next 2, 3 weeks for a day, going to Naka Karuizawa, trying the soba, or just
Mm-hmm.
walking along the river stream.
I see.
Yes,
Did you hike around the forest, like a wood area, or did
not
you
this
get
time.
to?
I did go
Oh
around
no.
on the
Okay.
bicycle. I,
A bicycle. Okay.
yeah,
Of
from the
course.
south side of the, basically, since the place I was staying at was on the south side of the Karuizawa station. So
Mm-hmm.
took my bicycle around that whole area and then exploring
I see. I
some
see.
cafes and
Okay.
then also going to
Yeah.
Nakakaruizawa.
Yeah.
And there's a library at the Nakakaruizawa
Yes. Yes.
station.
Yes.
It has a beautiful facade, and I enjoyed spending time at the library as well and watching the view of Asamayama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Maybe next springtime or around the Golden Week, the May holiday season, it'll be a perfect timing for hiking. Hiking the Hanariyama. Hanariyama is like smaller, like hill type of like small mountain, walkable from Karuizawa Station. And I do hiking. It takes roughly about 90 minutes to just go top and return. So it's a good quick hike without any equipments. You can just hike with like your ordinary outfit. And also there are several falls, water, falling. And there's like two spots that you can walk
Yes,
to the place, and along the way you can like watch wildlife animals. And we have to be careful with bears, I think.
right.
But yeah, I can handle that. So
Yes,
maybe next time I can guide you that. So
let's go. It's always
just let
better
me
to
know. Yeah.
hike with a company, right?
Yeah.
With someone to go along with you. So it's
Yes.
great if you can plan
Yeah.
something.
All right. Okay. Let me do that later. So thank you. Kicking off, could you start with touching on your brief background and brief career, and maybe a story about what brought you to Japan also?
Right, so I was born and brought up in New Delhi, India, and spent all of my childhood and my schooling in that city.
Hmm.
Later on, I went to another city, which is not too far from New Delhi, and some of our colleagues also visited it this year. It's Jaipur, and that's where I did my mechanical
Jaipur.
engineering.
Okay. I see.
So after doing mechanical engineering, I was really interested in working on sustainability and renewable energy. And at that
Hmm.
time, Kyoto Protocol was still active. So I got my
Yes.
first job as a Kyoto Protocol's clean development mechanism consultant. It was more like an
Mm.
internship which materialized into a job, and that's how I started working on sustainability.
I
And
see.
I've been doing that
What
since
was
12 years
the
now.
what was like first story or like first impression of when you encounter like this concept of sustainability?
I did not know much about the field, what was happening
Mm,
in the
mm,
industry when I was studying, but I
mm-hmm.
knew that I had to do something meaningful with my career. I did not want to go
Okay.
into a typical mechanical engineering career of, production or
Mm, mm,
automobile
mm.
or a factory related job. And
Yes, yes.
so I was searching for something more innovative and novel. And that's when I got to
Mm,
know about
mm.
the carbon credits and how Kyoto
I
Protocol
see,
is
I see.
enabling technology transfer into India. So I was really
Mm, mm, mm.
surprised that because of Kyoto Protocol, a lot of technology transfer and private investments happened in India in renewable energy in the late
I see,
2000s.
I
And
see, I see.
I got to
Mm,
travel all of India, north, south, east, west, to all the places that had different kinds of renewable energy. And I was surprised. I was by the scale of it. It's enormous
mm, mm, mm.
at the level at which India was installing renewable energy power plants.
I see, I see. Wow. Is there like specific like type of renewable energy plants that you really are expert into, or
Well,
I
initially I
think there's like
was,
some
yeah,
types.
yes, yes. So there's solar and wind, and within wind there are different kinds
Yeah.
of installation types, and similarly in solar energy. And
Mm-hmm,
there's,
mm-hmm.
of course, small hydro as well. So in my first job, I interacted with all of these technologies, but later I started
Okay.
focusing on only on. So in the first job, I was looking at even how do you say megawatt scale power plants,
Megawatt scale.
like
I see.
huge
Mm,
wind farms or huge solar farms. But later on,
mm-hmm,
I started looking at rooftop solar, which
mm-hmm.
had more potential for installation in cities on top of
Yes,
homes or
yes.
offices. And that's also how I segued into real estate and sustainability in
Mm,
real estate.
I see, I see. So there's a like the path to your career now.
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
do now. I work on sustainability in real estate.
I see, I see. And so you came to Japan, and what was the like first connection with Japan? Did you like come to Japan like frequently on business, or what was it like really very, very first time coming to Japan?
Well, in India, I was working with an American nonprofit that was developing global standards for sustainable buildings. And I was a
Mm-hmm.
subject matter expert. And I happened to go to China to do a
Mm-hmm.
workshop. And I was
Yes,
giving a
yes.
workshop as part of our conference that was organized by my previous company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just serendipity that I met my present CEO in
Okay.
China.
I see, I see.
And we were just talking about what I'm
Mm,
working on and what the company in Japan is working on. And that's
mm,
how it materialized. So after that conference, COVID happened. And then right after
I see.
COVID, I came to Japan. So sheer
So the
serendipity.
company, yeah, yeah, purely. So the company name is Von Elf. Is that the
Yes.
Dutch pronunciation
Yes, it's a
or
Japanese company with a Dutch name. It's called Woonerf. So Woonerf,
Woonerf?
it
Woonerf,
means
yeah.
a walkable street or a well-designed street, a broad street. And the concept is
Ah,
Dutch. And it was the inspiration behind our
hmm,
founder making
hmm,
the transition from finance to sustainability. So he was in the leadership of the Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and
hmm,
then he
hmm,
transitioned to sustainability consulting, Hiroki Hiramatsu.
hmm, hmm,
And so the company has been in operation since 2005.
hmm, hmm.
Uh, and it is one of the biggest sustainability consulting companies in the building sector in Japan.
Yes, yes.
Although it's a small team of about 45 people right now.
45 people. I see.
Yeah,
And do you regularly in your daily job do you speak Japanese or
I'm
like you
learning.
speak English there?
I'm
You're
learning.
learning. Okay,
So
I see.
I work at the intersection of engineering, architecture, and finance.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
a lot my clients these days predominantly are finance people, asset management
Mm,
people,
mm, mm, mm,
and
mm.
thankfully they speak English. And engineering
Okay,
work, engineering
I
work,
see.
when you're working on the screen, there are so many tools now to work in multiple languages. So I make use of
Yes.
those tools,
Mm,
and I'm able to execute my engineering related tasks or architectural related tasks or analysis.
mm, mm,
But
mm,
yes,
mm.
learning Japanese is definitely on the top of my mind, and I totally love kanjis, and I enjoy writing them, and I enjoy strokes.
What made me smile while reading your profile was that your listed up favorite book called Remembering the Kanji.
Yeah,
It's a Nemo book.
yes.
That's one of your favorite book.
Yeah, thanks to the author,
That's amazing. Yeah.
you know, he created a method for
Mm,
learning kanji by way of not only visual memory but imagination. And
I see. Wow.
I think I have more of a visual memory. So
Mm,
it was
mm,
that book was instrumental in cultivating my love, in helping me
mm.
cultivate love towards kanji and explore it deeply at my own pace.
I see.
I'd recommend it's highly recommended.
Mm,
If
mm.
imagination and visual thinking is something that appeals to people, then I would recommend them to use that book as
Yeah,
much as
yeah.
possible.
Yeah, well, thank you for that recommendation. Maybe I'll go check it as well. Because growing up learning kanji, I always did the same thing sort of and guess the word when I encountered whatever the kanji I've never seen before, but I still can sort of like imagine what it means by looking at the parts of the kanji,
Yes.
sort of way. Yeah.
The core methodology followed in that book is that,
Hmm.
while kids in Japan would learn kanji by repeatedly writing it hundreds or thousands of
Hmm.
times during the course of their
Hmm.
childhood, adult memory works differently. And we are
Hmm.
able to, as adults, we are able to think about abstract concepts and imagine
Yes.
things that is difficult to do that. And so we don't
Hmm.
need to learn kanji the same way as a Japanese kid would learn in school growing up.
I see.
And that's why the book differs. Generally, when people come to Japan, they start learning kanji with like N5, N4, N3, N2, N1 level. But the
Hmm.
book doesn't
Hmm.
take that
Hmm.
approach.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It
Hmm.
teaches everything all at once in steps
I see.
that they should be learned in, not like N5 to N1.
Hmm.
So that's the premise of the book.
I see. Nice. May I ask you what is your favorite kanji, if there's any?
There's one for sure. There's
Okay.
a kanji for Akka. There's a bright, which has the sun and the moon,
Okay.
right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Akarui. Yeah. Yeah.
Akarui,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite kanjis because while
Okay.
learning the kanji, the interpretation is that
Mm, mm.
the bright is one of the meanings of that kanji,
Yes.
and I connected it with the moon, with the
Mm,
bright
mm,
intuition of the
mm,
poet, and
mm, mm, mm.
the brightness of the sun with the brightness of the clear thinker.
Mm, mm, mm.
So that's why I like that combination.
Yeah, that's a nice story. And actually, when we write tomorrow, which is ashita,
Yeah,
that we use akarui and also day, nichi.
I see.
So it
Yeah,
means tomorrow is always a like bright day. Is sort of like the concept maybe.
so fascinating.
Yeah, which I like it. Yeah, the ancient Japanese people made this combination of kanji and made words
Right.
are like fascinating. Well, thank you for sharing your story with kanji. It's a beautiful story. And okay, my next question would be why you decided to join Shizenkan. How did you get to know about Shizenkan in the first place?
Well, I was doing a coursework on from Harvard just
Mm-hmm.
to upskill myself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I completed that coursework, but I still felt I needed to learn more. And that's when one
I
of
see.
my acquaintances suggested that, okay, there's this Shizenkan University in Tokyo, and they are also ex-Harvard, and maybe you should check out
Mm-hmm.
their learning methodology. And when I looked over the syllabus, it really appealed to me because that's what I
Mm,
was missing, the liberal arts component of
I see.
the history and the philosophy part, which we are deeply engaged with right now. And
Mm,
it
mm,
sort of
mm,
it
mm,
helps me connect all the dots
mm, mm.
in the work as well as what I want to do in life. So that was my motivation to apply to Shizenkan because the curriculum is so appealing and well curated.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So the Harvard that you mentioned, is that like online course that you took or
That was an online course in
online course? Okay. Mm.
sustainable investing,
Ah, okay.
and
Sustainable investing.
yes, yes, and
Interesting.
even that topic is still evolving. So
Mm-hmm.
It's better to understand the fundamentals and then study about sustainable investing and practice it in your work on your own rather
Mm-hmm.
than doing
Mm-hmm.
a one-off course and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
forgetting about it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's an evolving field and it applies differently to different sectors. It would apply
I see.
differently to, let's say, buildings or in the medical sector, it would mean different things.
Mm-hmm. So, so far, it's been 4 months since we started, Shizenkan course, and so far, how do you feel about your learnings, or uh, did it meet your expectation, or
I'm
how do you
overjoyed.
feel
I'm
about it?
overjoyed about all that we are learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how it is all curated, very well curated and very well
Yes.
timed.
Yes.
Although
Yeah.
sometimes some of the topics require a deeper reflection, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
you would
Mm-hmm.
want some more time to be able to reflect on those things. For
Mm-hmm.
example, in the numbers course or in the capitalism course.
Mm-hmm.
But the content itself is excellent for any learner at any level, I believe. And it adds
Mm-hmm.
to everyone's knowledge in different ways. And I like the fact that our cohort is so diverse
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
that each one of us are enabling each other's learning journey. And
Mm-hmm.
so, whenever a discussion happens, whether it's in the class or outside the class, I enjoy it. I enjoy participating and also listening to other people's perspective. And it's fascinating how people perceive things differently. That's what I like.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I told you this before in the class, but I think you're a very good student who asks very sharp questions in very timely manner, and I always wonder how you do that. And could you maybe explain what's happening when you're asking question? What's happening in your head, or what kind of like preparation you do for the class, each class?
Like I generally want to uh, visually fit the pieces for my own
Mm-hmm.
self, and that's why some of the questions are in the sense that they are multidisciplinary or they are looking at different angles of the topic. So, for example, in the case of systems or the company, what is the company for? It's a very important
Mm-hmm.
question,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's also a very personal question. And so when I'm trying to analyze those things, I'm also looking at my own context or the context of my company or the context of my sector. And all those things sort of come out in the form of questions
Hmm.
during the session.
I see. I see. Hmm.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to like professor's lecture, you're thinking as individually, or like as like employee of your company, or like as one of the member of like society. Those like hats at the same time. So
Everything all at
I.
once. Lots of processing
Uh,
goes on. And I think how does it happen for you? How do you think? How are you processing the information?
um, hmm. I'm more of processing one hat at a time person. I think so. Hmm. And my motivation coming to Shizenka is more of like a reflection of my like career, and how to like perceive my past experience, and how to connect that to like the future career of mine. It is like the backbone of how I want to learn. I think observed all the information from that standpoint, which means I don't have like the perspective of maybe how I want to behave as like the member of society. I think I have the weakness in that like perspective. I personally feel that. So it's quite amazing that you listen to one information from maybe multiple angle at the same time. That is not happening in my head.
I see. I see. I guess I'm a distracted thinker, so my brain is buzzing, with activity on what's happening, and there's intense
Mm.
calibration and recalibration of things happening inside. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have very bright brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I would say distracted, but yes, for sure. Thank you for the compliment.
Okay. Well, but by the way, in each courses, in each classes, we have many pre-assigned like readings. But beside those like readings from the contents, class contents, do you additionally read books or like watch supplementary information for learning?
I try to. For
Okay.
example, for the SciTech course, I knew
Mm.
nothing about AI, really.
Mm.
I had an opinion, but I really wanted to get a academic grounding. So yes, I picked up a book, read a few things about it.
I see.
So otherwise, if I'm lost, then it's very difficult to then grasp what's really happening around you in the
Mm. Mm.
course. So yeah, that happens depending on how well I understand a topic. So yeah, it happened with AI, it happened with numbers.
Mm.
Accounting was
Mm. Mm.
tough. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I had
For
to
sure.
do supplementary reading. And now even
Mm.
with
Mm.
capitalism, I am finding that it's better to consult multiple sources or books, even those
Yes.
suggested by the professors as well. But it takes time to read them, right? I mean, if I
Yeah.
start reading about AI, it's not like I can read in a day and just know everything. It takes a few months to get the hang of a subject, to get into the pool. It takes
Yeah.
time.
Completely agree. This is the I feel all the courses are sort of like an introduction to these topics.
Right,
There's no way we can like 100%
right,
internalize the contents in this
right,
short amount of time. So
right,
yeah, but I agree that the course is very beautifully well designed. The order of courses, or like at the same time we take this and this and this, and they're like interconnected somehow.
right, right.
So about the books and learning contents, what was like sort of most fascinating learning contents that you had this year? If you
Interesting question.
if you want to pick one.
I think for me, it would be definitely the bit about AI and how it has evolved,
Okay,
and
I see.
especially how the research has, starting with uh, a unified a unified intention on part of the researchers back even in the late early 19th century,
Mm.
how it in the middle it kind of like diverged into two different camps, one that
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm.
looking at the neuroscience side of things, because AI
Yes,
is
yes.
basically having human level intelligence. That's the goal. But then
Mm-hmm,
we also see a shift towards computing efficiency. That's also now a goal of,
mm-hmm.
at least
Yeah.
that's what I understand. And what we see now, for example, with ChatGPT or Grok, is a bit of a merging again of both the domains.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think feel like there's a long way to go there. The human intelligence aspect is still missing
Yes.
from AI, and it's largely about computing efficiency and processing, documentation processing, or number crunching that can be
Mm-hmm.
done. That's what I was able to grasp about it. When
Mm-hmm.
I read a book, a very short book. Well, the title of the book was A Very Short Introduction to AI. So it was a very short
Okay.
introduction.
I see. I see.
Yeah, but it was a
That's
short
interesting.
introduction full of big words. It takes, even my processor crashed a few times while processing those big words.
This week, I think, came out from Joe Rogan's podcast series that you can listen to on the Spotify. There was a founder of NVIDIA, Jensen
Right,
Huang, was a guest at
right,
Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about the current state of AI development and how
right,
he sees that, and what's the concern about AI development that he sees, things like that for
right.
maybe 2 hours. I think it was a
Wow.
very long conversation, but it was very interesting. And Jensen was distinguishing between artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness. When we say AGI, artificial general intelligence, like the super AI that handle everything, humans tends to think about it would have some kind of like consciousness.
Right,
But what he says is intelligence, which is like processing workflow or processing information, and also consciousness, which we have, is totally different thing.
yes,
And so AI having consciousness is not probably happening at the extension of current development, is what he was saying. And because consciousness is more of compiled past experience, sort of. That's how he explained about consciousness. And I thought that discussion was very interesting.
totally. I agree with you. And we all carry some perception of how far AI has come
Yeah.
and what is really
Mm.
possible. And we
Mm.
have our own fascination and fantasies with it. I recently also think it was a few months ago, I heard as part of the conversation around depleting population in the
Mm-hmm.
local
Mm-hmm.
areas,
Mm-hmm.
and especially no companionship for the elderly.
Yes,
I
yes.
heard senior leader from Science Tokyo quote that they would have an AI twin for them, but I think it's
Mm,
highly
mm,
unlikely
mm,
to
mm, mm.
have that kind of an AI twin at the human
Yeah.
consciousness level to be able to have any meaningful interaction,
Yes.
and even with an elderly person.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by the brain. I think
Mm,
I don't know. I read somewhere that AI is more closer to thermodynamics because a brain is always optimizing the energy that we have.
mm, 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 mm,
And
mm.
and and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
yeah.
are our brain is also an energy optimization machine besides a machine which does analysis, emotion, depth, and perception. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and so for
True.
an AI to be able to do that,
Mm.
it's still a long way to go. We are very efficient at
Yes,
doing
yes.
what we do.
And that reminds me of the mental model that from the last system thinking. The professor was talking about the mental model.
Right.
And I thought that was sort of like not seeing, not focusing on whatever the information that looks unimportant. And human brain do that to save energy, I think, because always paying attention to the world 100%
Yes.
is a very energy consuming thing.
Yes.
So you have to eat Snickers always or something to keep the brain running. No, we can't do that. So I think the mental model that we all have, which makes a lot of social problems as well, but or at the personal level as well. But I think that's how our brain works, and could be a beauty of human brain also. And yeah, that's how I listen to your comments now. And by the way, I'd like to ask about do you have any like concern of AI data center consuming a lot of electricity, that kind of issue from
But
that
do
like
I
perspective?
observe it? I observe it, and I also wrote about it in the SciTech exam
Mm, mm, mm. I see, I see.
because lots of data centers are coming up. Uh, for example,
Are you
in
involved
Tokyo
in
as well.
those? Are you involved in those like data center building projects as well? Oh,
Some
some
of
of them.
them,
I see.
yes.
Okay, so you see a
And
lot.
so
I see.
it's clear that there's a need for those data centers because there's a need for everyone loves Copilot, right? Everyone loves ChatGPT and Grok, and it's making people
Yeah,
efficient, and people like to
yeah.
play with it and talk with it, and so therefore you need data centers.
Mm,
And
mm,
as an investable real estate, it's
mm,
becoming a more lucrative venture,
mm,
but
mm.
it does come with its energy demand. And
Mm.
so that part needs to be carefully considered, and the location is then very important. Of course, data
I
centers
see,
are
I
located
see.
in areas where they can ensure low latency,
Mm, mm, mm,
but if they're located in a climate which is not suitable or
mm, mm.
which makes cooling very inefficient,
Yeah.
then the data center can consume as much energy as a district or a city,
Mm, mm,
which might be plausible scenario in
mm,
India,
mm,
for example.
mm, mm,
So yes, it is a concern. So the
mm, mm.
semiconductors needs to consume less energy. While they're becoming
Yes.
more efficient at processing
Mm,
information, they also need to consume less energy.
mm,
And we need
mm,
to find a
mm,
balance. We need to find a balance in using that.
mm, mm.
I think it was in accounting that we studied that all of these assets, for example, Meta, or
Mm.
earlier their balance
Yeah,
sheets did
yeah,
not have
yeah,
much depreciating assets, and now all of these assets are
yeah,
depreciable.
yeah.
And recently, who's that maverick investor who was also one of the characters was played based on him in The Big Short? He mentioned that some of these companies are just playing around with that depreciation number, and which is related to the data center asset,
Mm, 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 mm,
in order to show a different kind of financial performance, whereas
mm,
that may
mm.
not be actually be the case. I forgot his name.
Okay.
So I think there's a bit of various angles. You have to balance the energy demand, but you also have to look at what is the real depreciation that we're talking about with these assets.
So what was that argument again? The point was that they do a lot of data center building and they depreciate that assets.
I think the way you show depreciation decides
Mm-hmm.
whether you decides your valuation also, right? And how much net
Mm-hmm.
profit you're able to make. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a concern, and if I am able to uh, Google his name right away,
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
what's his name? Michael Burry. Yeah. So
Michael
Michael
Burry.
Burry, yeah. So Michael Burry, he called out AI companies in such as Nvidia,
Mm.
and he alleged that they are extending the useful life of the assets, and that boosts the earnings. And some of these
Oh,
assets
okay.
are the GPUs,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
for example. So I don't think so. While everyone is talking about how AI is the next big thing and so much money
Mm.
is being invested, we also see people like Michael Burry or some others pointing out to the finer details in the
Mm-hmm.
balance sheets and the financial
I see.
statements to help us see the
Interesting.
the full
Okay.
picture.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So we always see the news of how much is newly invested in AI, like several billions or like trillions of dollars, but we haven't really go that far, checking the balance sheet of those big techs, what they're doing with their AI investment. So that's interesting.
Yes, in fact,
Now we
he went.
learned accounting, and yeah, we can do that.
I know, right? But even if you learn, you need to apply your mind to all these cases, and so the
Yeah,
learning
yeah,
is happening now after the
yeah.
course is over.
So it's sort of like we learned how to ride a bicycle, and we're now
Yes,
traveling around. Sort
yes,
of, yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. So next topic, I'd like to ask about the future that you see or like you aspire. In the reflection paper, I see that you want to apply your expertise and efforts to uh, city building or like real estate development in India, I think. That's what I think you put in the reflection paper. But right now, how do you feel about your like future? In the first place, I noticed that whenever professors ask whether we are optimistic or pessimistic about the future, I think you have a tendency to raise hands when it's pessimistic scenario. So
Well, yeah, that's a substantial question, so I'll carefully consider what I say.
okay, yeah.
But it is clear that if we don't solve the sustainability issues, we might have a future that may not be suitable for
Mm,
us to exist in a healthy and productive way.
mm,
And so that
yeah.
science exists. And sometimes I have tended to be pessimistic because I'm too aware of the problem. Sometimes being too aware of the issues makes you
Mm,
a bit pessimistic,
yeah.
but I would say overall I'm
Mm,
cautiously optimistic.
mm.
When we look at, for example, after the landmark Paris Agreement in
Mm.
uh,
Yeah.
2016, there was a pivotal moment where countries came together and they all agreed on
Mm,
on what we need to resolve, what are the
yeah.
targets we need to focus on, and then subsequent conversations happened on how to finance those solutions because private
Mm.
finance will play a big role in financing our transition.
Yes.
However, much that could happen hasn't yet happened, and we are more closer to
Mm,
2030 than we were at the time
mm,
of Paris Agreement. And
yeah.
and so in that sense, because I'm closely observing the industry, I look
Mm,
at people still being conservative, and yes, bottom line, financial bottom line is still the key metric for many of the
mm.
decisions. Uh, and so now it depends on individual motivations, because as we see, the American leadership is almost absent in this domain,
Mhm. Mhm.
which was a key factor in 2015 and
Yeah.
2016. And so my personal, when I was writing the reflection paper, and the question I think was that which constituency do you think you represent? And at that time, I wrote that yes, I represent India. But I think
Mm,
later on I reflected, I think I corrected myself, and I would like to correct myself. I also represent Japan because I'm living and working here. So I have as
mm.
much responsibility to the future here as much as I
I
have in
see.
India or to anywhere else in the world. And the issues might be different at the finer level, but the big picture issues. For example, if we look at real estate here, the way we develop our cities, of course, Tokyo is hyper developed. I'm not sure if that's the right term or not, but you see, as compared to
Yeah.
Karuizawa, the number of buildings in Tokyo and the skyscrapers, it's a
Yes.
stark contrast. And that's because Tokyo is a hub of business. And so every inch of the soil is optimized towards real estate, generating some kinds of returns.
Yeah.
And so when we look at people living in the city, so many of us, I try to think and I reflect on what kind of lives we have and the quality of lives do we have. And is the city, it's so well connected. The city is so well connected. You can go from point A to point B very efficiently as compared to many other cities. But are we
Yeah.
as efficiently connected as humans? That's a question for us. So are these big cities making us more isolated? Is it really an issue with big cities, or is it really an issue? What is the mental model behind these things? So is the mental model geared towards making us isolated, or is it geared towards bringing us together? Because ultimately we are social beings. Yes, we need to
Yes.
do isolated work. We need to do, focused work, but we also need other people, meaningful connections. So is the
Yes.
mental model behind the city development also geared towards helping us build meaningful connections? That's one of the key concerns that I have. And that's a concern that I have both for Japan, which is a developed country, and I also have it for India, which is a developing country. And apart from that, there are several other concerns because India still needs resources to grow. So we are now competing for resources, but we're also competing for carbon emissions. The ability, because with resource use, we will emit carbon more than other countries. And so there are multiple things happening, and I feel I have not a responsibility, but definitely a desire to leave Earth a better place in my lifetime. And so that's one of the key things I seriously think about a lot of times, and I want to keep working on it
I
as
see.
to how we build and develop our cities and communities to ensure not only continuous growth, but our human sustenance, sustenance of our soul and of our minds. Uh,
I see. It's interesting that you brought up this topic of the lack of community in Tokyo. Although there's so many people gathered in this area, there's still a lot of isolation of people. And do you see that as a like common thing that's happening in India mega cities as well, or do you think it's a like Japanese specific problem that you see here?
well, if I think of, I think yes, it's happening in India as well.
Okay.
Yes. So for a Japanese person, Tokyo, the way Tokyo is isolating, even I think for anyone coming, unless they have a family in the city, generally a city like Delhi can also be isolating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is happening in various mega cities. As yeah.
Hmm. I see. So it's sort of like, yeah, as you said, mental model or how the cities are designed. The big cities are designed is lacking the concept of maybe community or beside, workplace and your home. There's nothing in between and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
But even
Yeah.
then, there are so many layers of challenges. For example, when we
Mm.
look at New Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
between 1991 to 2001, the population grew by 40%. And in the next decade, again,
Mm.
the population grew substantially. But the number of
Wow.
cars in both the decade grew 100% every decade. So lots of
Wow.
vehicles were there. So city became, so the layers of challenges are there.
Wow,
It's not, and so
that's
yes, we have
fascinating.
the challenge of community,
Wow.
but before that, we also have the challenge of overpopulation in the city. So I saw so much of construction happen in Delhi in the last
Mm.
15
Mm.
years. At one
Yeah,
point of
of
time,
course.
I even had, air pollution related issues myself, and I worked on that for about 2.5 years. I worked as part of a startup.
Mm.
We created a new technology to solve indoor
Mm.
air
Mm.
pollution. But again, the mental model, think about New Delhi, it has a problem of pollution. And so the
Mm.
people who have the money can use the technology that I created to solve the
Mm.
problem in their homes.
Yeah.
But it's inherently, it's not a technology problem for a home. It's a policy issue for the region because we are allowing a lot of coal or fossil fuel based power plants to operate, or we are allowing a lot of construction to happen. As compared to Tokyo, Delhi has poor regulations when it comes to construction management. So there's lots of dust.
Yeah.
Or as compared to Tokyo, there's not enough technology to reduce pollution at the source level from the factories or from agriculture, or even there are many other local pollution sources. So
Yes.
my intention is to examine the mental models behind the development of the cities and examine the interaction of policy and technology and work on those challenges there. And
I
that's what
see.
I've been doing
Wow.
thus far.
Sounds like the system thinking CLD is very critical to your future thought development.
It is, and I should spend more time on it.
Me too, me too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And let me ask one more question about AI that you've been currently digging. So, what kind of like change do you think will occur in the future by the advancement of AI? Could be related to your work or could be more like private setting.
I think relation to the work, the change is already happening.
Mm,
I think there's tremendous potential for architects and engineers to use AI and create better buildings
I see. So the
because
productivity is
yes,
like exploding, sort of. I
yes.
see.
So most of the time of an architect or engineer now is spent in
Mm,
processing the data or organizing the data
mm,
rather than actual problem solving.
mm,
So
mm,
AI, if we can develop those tools, and some of those tools are already available,
mm, mm,
can
mm.
remove the legwork and
I
help
see.
engineers and architects focus on actual challenges of building design. For example,
Mm,
most of our
mm.
modern buildings are not climate responsive. You look at a
Yes.
building in Sydney, it looks as same as the building in New York, it looks same as the building in Tokyo and New Delhi.
Mm, mm,
All glass facades,
mm,
similar architecture. So we have totally, in the last 50 years, we have done away with local architecture. And so
mm,
yeah, AI can put back the focus on helping the architects and engineers focus on problem solving of design.
I see. I see. Structure, like calculation, those
Yeah,
things, it involves a lot of calculations.
yeah, yeah. So yes, what I was talking about is that when we look at these softwares, for example, if
Mm-hmm.
there is a software capability that allows for automatically organizing and
Mm,
do
mm,
some legwork and
mm,
creating a digital twin of the building, then the architect or engineer can focus
mm, mm. I see.
more on ensuring that the design is more climate responsive rather than spending all their time in
Yeah. Yeah.
building up the model.
Mm,
So
mm.
similarly, they can focus more on doing the energy analysis or daylight analysis. So that's another problem, right? We spend 90% of our time indoors, and we do
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
realize humans are such for better or worse, we are so good at adapting to our environment that we do not
Mm,
notice that the lighting of our
mm,
surrounding has changed and
mm,
it's
mm,
now not optimized as per our health. So
mm,
for
mm.
example, if you're
Yeah.
working in a space and if the lighting was gradually reducing, you might not fully notice and your eyes will adapt.
Yeah.
But a long period of time, it will have health issues for you.
Mm, mm,
At the time of building design and at the time of the,
mm,
we need to ensure that the daylight and the artificial light are well coordinated.
mm.
And that can only happen when we have the tools to do it. We have daylight simulation
Yeah.
tools, we have
Interesting.
artificial
Wow.
lighting design tools, but they don't work together. So
Mm,
we have to do those analysis in silos, and
mm,
we need to move towards a design sort of paradigm where
mm,
both those things are done together. So that's how AI can help solve
mm.
problems for human health and productivity indoors.
I see. Wow. Super interesting. So it means the future of building is sort of like akarui, is the bright side of what AI can bring to your industry.
Yes, and not only that, but
Yeah.
even doing the analysis for reducing the carbon emissions.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Tokyo real estate is all existing buildings, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
we have redevelopments happening, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly the buildings, 90% of the real estate is already existing. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
the effort in decarbonization will go into making those existing buildings more efficient. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you make them more efficient without sacrificing the comfort of the people? I cannot just turn off the air conditioning and then make you freeze in the winters. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to be able to use the air conditioning, but still
Mm-hmm.
not consume as much energy as you were doing before.
I
So
see.
all of that needs to happen on scale urgently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where some
Wow.
of my pessimism comes in because 2030 is very near
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the grid emission factors, unless Japan starts using nuclear energy, the grid emission
Mm-hmm.
factors are still high.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
we need to do things at scale. So yes, AI
Mm-hmm.
and digital transformation. So before sustainability transformation, digital transformation needs to happen. And digital
I see.
transformation
Yeah.
needs to happen along with AI.
Mm.
And then the sustainability transformation will be more powerful.
Thank you. Wow. Now, today I learned so many things about your professional side of you, and it's very eye-opening. Sorry, the time is flying, but let me ask this question about in the profile sheet that you listed up leaders you respect the most, and you put Richard Feynman. And Richard Feynman is also my favorite author of a book about physics and mathematics. So I wanted to touch on that and hear what's your thought on Richard Feynman as a leader.
Oh, it was a huge source of inspiration back
Mm,
in when I was in my college. So surely you're
mm, mm.
joking, Mr. Fenman, the book
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the lecture series. It was one of the
Mm,
sources of inspiration for me.
mm, mm,
Uh, at the time, I was doing mechanical engineering, but I had my own not I wouldn't say conflicts, but problems because the curriculum that I was studying as part of the official curriculum of the college
mm,
and the way
mm,
we were studying it was not very well connected with the modern advances. And so
mm, mm,
I felt like we needed a different way to learn.
mm,
I needed a different way to learn, and I needed to take charge of my learning. And that's where one of my mentors, she introduced me to Richard Feynman.
mm,
And
mm.
I actually learned how to learn from
Yeah,
Richard
yeah.
Feynman,
I know what you mean.
but I still feel like I need to read it again. That was like 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago that I
Yeah.
first encountered his work.
Mm,
And probably now I'm in the next phase of again interacting with his work to
yeah.
once again go over all those things because things become a part of you, right? They don't become
Mm,
isolated. You go through them, you absorb them, and you
yeah.
start acting in a different way. So that's where Richard Feynman really helped me back in 2009 and 2010 in
Mm, mm,
taking charge of my learning journey, and that's how I
mm,
then understood that yeah, I don't really want to work in a typical mechanical engineering job, and I want to
mm,
do
mm.
something more meaningful. And
Yeah.
I think that was one of the core reasons why I started working on
Yeah.
sustainability.
That's so I'm currently reading this one, Six Easy Pieces by Richard Feynman. So this is like a lecture of a recorded lecture turned into a book, I think. And there he's talking about the physics from the concept of atoms, like electrons and protons, those concepts to I think the theory of relativity. And by reading this book, I can really tell that Richard Feynman is not memorizing those concepts, but he really understands at the very deep level, and so he can explain it in a very simple way, very straightforward way. And I thought, wow, so this is what it means to understand some concepts and to be able to tell to other people and teach. And since then, I sort of like stopped like trying to memorize things, but instead I want to learn the concept, the sequence of like ideas like linked together, sort of. So I enjoy it very much.
And that's where the fun happens when you
Mm,
absorb and you interact and you then discuss it with other people. who share
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same passion as you do
yes,
over those topics. And that's where things really get absorbed, and you're able to make changes to those things rather than just absorbing them as it is.
I agree. I cannot agree more. Yeah. And that's sort of like motivation of why I do this podcast series, and I'm learning from each classmates. Every time I have this new episodes, I learn new things about the person. Oh, of course, about you today, also, but also like many subjects that the person is in love with and interested in, and that's fascinating. I'm learning the most out of this project, and it's a great thing.
Thank you so much for taking the initiative. I
Yeah,
watched
well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. So
some of
encouraging.
the podcasts, uh,
Hmm.
but I'm yet to watch all of them fully, and I
Yeah,
have enjoyed each one of them until now.
thank you. Yeah, but by the way, I was recently very amazed that Haruka was such a athlete. I didn't know that, but she was once like tag rugby. The rugby
Really?
without like physically tackling. She was in Japan number 1 team. So yeah, yeah, and I didn't know that. And other than that, she was like a boat rowing like athlete, and she won a competition. Like she was seventh or like fifth in the whole Japanese high school uh, like competition. And yeah,
Yeah, I'm really looking forward
I
to that podcast. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So each people has those each surprising new face, new aspects. It's always fascinating.
Yes. And their eccentricities.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, do you have any like recommendation or like person who want to listen to on this podcast? If you could like list up some names, that'd be great. It could be in English class or Japanese class, alumni or um, admin staff, faculty, anybody.
I think there is, I would say, Tetsuya Kurebashi in the Japanese
Ah,
class.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, Kuresan.
Uh, and there's one more person, Sekine-san, probably.
Sukinis. I haven't talked to him, but yeah, I'll
Yeah,
definitely go catch him. Yeah,
yeah,
this
because
Saturday, I think.
Tetsuya
Mhm.
Kurebashi, I think he's
Mm.
working on investments, doing
Yes, yes.
investments, and I think he brings a interesting perspective and
Mm,
experience into where the
mm,
money is
mm.
going now. Because as I said,
Yeah,
private finance is what we need to
yeah,
make the changes happen in society and world. So definitely I would recommend having him over in the
mm,
podcast.
yeah. Actually, where he's working is where I used to work, recruit
Recruit,
companies.
recruit, yes,
Yeah,
recruit.
yeah, a corporate venture capital like department, and I think he was brought up in Netherlands, and that's where he I think learned about a sustainability concept, and I think that's his passion. So
Yes, yes,
yeah, climate change, those are his topics, and yeah, and he speaks English pretty fluently as well. So
yes.
yeah, I'll
And
go catch him.
another person I want to hear more about is Nobe-chan, Yuki Nakanobe.
Okay, okay, yeah, definitely.
Think her background in music and how she also
Music,
applies
yes,
it.
yeah,
And one of the
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
things she told me is that she goes on a learning journey every 3 years.
Hmm.
And that's fascinating because
Okay. Wow.
so she was telling me she tries being part of some learning experience like Shizenkan, or
Hmm.
3 years
Hmm.
ago
Hmm.
she did something else. So
Hmm.
it really shows
Wow.
what is the mental model of a person to keep learning, and that's
I
one
see.
of
Yeah.
the
Okay.
interesting things that
Hmm.
I learned about her.
Oh, so she's the expert in learning new things.
Maybe, maybe.
Well, that's their topic that we all want to know about, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. For this is for listeners. Thank you for listening. Please send me a feedback through Spotify, YouTube, or any media, or at the classroom always. And please hit the follow or subscribe button or like button to become a member of this talk room and to make me happy. Not make me happy, but to make this podcast a meaningful thing. So, have you already subscribed to this channel?
Yes, I already did that.
Not yet.
Yeah. I
You did.
already did.
Okay.
from a very
I like it.
eccentric
Thank
account
you.
name, which you won't be able to recognize that this is
Okay,
Suhaas.
okay, okay. Okay, got it. All right, thank you so much. Okay, well, again, thank you for sharing your time. It was a great session, and I learned so many things about your industry and how you think. So, see you again in the classroom tomorrow. I think.
Yes, thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.